But with that being said, hey everyone, it's Ben Hardy here, and in today's video, we're going to be looking at the all-new Ram ProMaster. Now, normally when I review a new vehicle, I just review one vehicle, but I've decided to have two vehicles in this review because one of these is the longer wheelbase, and one of them is the shorter wheelbase, so you guys can see both wheelbases in today's video. Before we end this video, though, a huge shout out and thank you to the Larry Miller Dodge Ram Jeep Chrysler here in Sandy, Utah, for giving me some time with both of these ProMasters. I'm going to include a link to their inventory in the description down below so you can check what they have currently. And with that being said, as always, if you want to save time and money the next time purchase car, link to my car buying guide in the description down below. Let's get into it. So under the hood, we have a naturally aspirated 3.6 liter V6 that goes through a 9-speed automatic transmission. Power outputs are 276 horsepower and then 250 pound-feet of torque. Now, before we go to the front end, I do want to mention, if you want to see more videos just like this, then I recommend you subscribe because I post content every single day. Since these vans are pretty much identical in spec, I'm just going to go from van to van with some of the options. I guess it'll kind of keep things exciting. I don't know. Anyways, we got cargo lights there at the top, and then you guys can see down below, we do have these halogen bulbs for the headlights. You got the new style of Ram logo there on the front end, and notice the front end just looks a little bit different. Let me know, though, if you guys like the white more or if you like the silver more. I kind of lean more towards the silver because just, I don't know, looks a little bit cooler. And for those of you wondering, these are both high roof vans. Now, coming on the side here, our tire and wheel setup is 225, 75, 16 in the front and in the rear. And this van is front wheel drive. That's the only drive line you can get with the Ram ProMaster, if you're wondering. So we have these gigantic chunky fender flares right here, and then you guys can see like the bodywork there on the side. Now notice there's two different styles of mirrors you can get here with the ProMaster. We'll look at the first style here. So, I mean, it's a big old trailer mirror, but this one's definitely quite a bit wider, so you're gonna have just a better, viewpoint with that one. And then here's the side profile on the shorter wheelbase ProMaster, if you guys are wondering, so you can kind of get an idea of the overall size of it. There is a Ram Cummins there in the background. And then here's the side view on the longer wheelbase, so you can see a little bit less stubby looking, right? And obviously you're gonna have more space in the back, and we'll go over that in just a moment. Now here's the key fob. You guys can see got the Ram logo there on the back. We have our lock function. This unlocks the doors and that unlocks the rear. Okay, so we're gonna start with the shorter ProMaster here. And opening the door is pretty simple. Functionality on both of them is going to be the same. And you guys will notice that this is a windowless van here in the back. Again, the high roof is great. I mean, there's so much storage. So basically you can step up here and that'll help with getting in. Now, I mean, like, yeah, I can literally stand up in here and there's just so much space in the back. And again, this is crazy because this is the shorter wheelbase version, but like the possibilities are endless in here, which I think is really cool. Look at like that giant storage compartment here at the top as well. And I mean, you guys can see this is a pretty stripped down version, so there's not a lot happening here in the back. And then notice I do have this handle right here that I can grab. Apparently I don't have enough muscle. There we go. And then that is for the sliding door, so you can access it either way. And by the way, you always got to close the doors in order, so this one first with the little handle, and then this one second with the outside handle. And then as for the sliding door, it's easier to close on the outside and open on the outside than the inside, that's for sure. And now popping into the silver one, well, same thing. And headroom is the same because they're both high roofs, but the space back here, I mean, like standing here at the back, wow, it is immense. Still have the storage shelf there at the top, still windowless in this particular one. But the size difference is actually quite substantial. Like, I mean, just to give you guys, I guess, kind of an idea of what this like looks like in person, I feel like in the other van, I would be okay with like maybe me and one other person like converting that and living in that, or most likely maybe just me. Whereas in this one, I would be okay with me and another person, maybe even another person like converting this and like living in this. Like it's got that much more space. Now, when it comes to the rear of the van, you guys can see that, well, it's just like, it's a huge shelf. You've got your 2500 badge because this is a 2500 series. I'll show you the payload on both of them in just a moment. But, the back end doesn't really look all that different from before, but I mean, it's a cargo van. There's not much you can do with styling. So the payload on the longer one, the silver one, is $39.94. And then the payload on the white one, the shorter one, is $41.48. So there is a slight payload difference. Now when it comes to the door panel, it's pretty basic with the material use, but there is tons of storage space on the door panel itself. And then you guys can see with like our window controls here, and then the unlock function right there, mirror adjustments, and then again those huge mirrors. And this is also where we have the fuel filler door. I always forget it's on this side for some reason. So yeah, you can just open up right there. And then here are these seats. These are really cool. You guys can see cloth seats, but yeah, I don't know, they just have like a cool aesthetic to them. They are manually adjustable. So starting with the steering wheel here, again, pretty basic from a material standpoint. You got that big shiny Ram logo in the front and center. And then you guys can see you've got cruise control with this. There are radio controls on the back of the steering wheel as well. Controls to center stack, voice command, controls and phone controls as well. And then of course you got our turn signal / light stock, and then windshield wiper stock. Now with the gauge cluster, it's mostly analog, but we do have that little screen there in the center, which we can use to scroll through some different menus, see different bits of information on the vehicle and systems within the vehicle. Pretty straightforward stuff. Most modern vehicles have something like this. Now in reverse, we do have a backup camera with trajectory lines that turn with the steering wheel in normal cargo van fashion. You have a huge camera view because the camera is so high up on the van, but then the trajectory lines are tiny because the actual footprint of the van, yeah, just because of the camera view, it's always a funny thing. Now as for the rest of the infotainment system, well, if you've seen other modern Rams like the Ram 1500, then like it's basically that infotainment system, just the smaller unit. I love how they do have like a van though for the vehicle tab. That's pretty cool. So yeah, if you're used to the infotainment system in a Ram 1500, then this will make you feel right at home. Now on the dash, we do have like storage bits all over because again, this is ultimately supposed to be like a practical cargo van, so that's pretty cool. Down below, we do have analog controls for the radio and the climate system. I do like these buttons here, definitely funky. I do think it's interesting though that like with the temperature, how you like it fills in with the bars. I think that's super unique, that is for sure. And then you guys can see stuff like the stability control, that's to lock stuff. And yeah, interesting, they did like a gloss black finish on the buttons, and then you got some charging port action, and then look at the storage just above the glove box. And here's our shifter, by the way, for that 9-speed automatic. It does have a manual shift function. And then you guys can see here, we've got some more storage down below. We have some cup holders as well. Now, because this is a windowless van, we don't have a rear view mirror or anything like that. But you can get a camera mirror with these ProMasters if you want. It's an option. Then we've got this giant sun visor here. And it's interesting because this is pretty hollow because the storage space up above. So here's a window sticker for this ProMaster. This is, again, the longer one, so the 159-inch wheelbase. You guys can see the base MSRP on this. And then you can see the options on this particular one. Total MSRP, $49,111. Let's go check out the other window sticker. So here's the window sticker for the other one, 136-inch wheelbase, again, high roof, base MSRP. And then after all options on this particular one, $48,340. And we'll drive the shorty first, and then we'll drive the long one second. Okay, we're basically going to set right off in the ProMaster here. Since I'm, doing basically like a double review in today's video, which I feel like is the best way to do this because I think that, the 2500 is going to be one of the more popular versions of the ProMaster, and then, I'm sure a lot of people are debating between the long version and the short version. So I'm just hoping this video helps you guys out with your decision making. Door open. Well, that's not good. Okay, well, I'm back. It turns out the sliding door on the side was open. So, yeah, took care of that. Glad that I took care of that because would not want that to just fly open while we are driving. That would be, well, yeah, not exactly ideal by any means. But actually pretty smooth with how this drives. That is for sure. I do feel like the 159 though is probably going to end up driving smoother because, longer wheelbase vehicles just always do. This 9-speed's good. It definitely feels like it smooths the gear shifts. It seems like it keeps it in the power band where it needs to be. I'm going to pop it in the manual mode for a second here. Definitely, not sports car response time with the transmission. Yeah, it definitely basically prioritizes smoothness over, in like quick shift speed, which is fine because it's a cargo van. You want, like you can imagine if you have this loaded up, you don't want it to be super quick with the shifts. You want it to be nice and smooth so that, your stuff, you don't like rattle everything in the van and have your shelves fall apart, right? But with that being said, this thing's got some power. Yeah, it's so smooth. That is the biggest thing I'm noticing with this new ProMaster, is those gear shifts compared to the previous version are so much smoother. Like, there is no upset with the van at all. And I think that is super, super important for a cargo van like this. Because that means, like, think about it, if you have a shift and then everything in the interior shifts, right? Whereas this, it's just, it's crazy. Like, I'll do this again. Like, you don't feel the gear shifts at all. That is amazing. Yeah, this new transmission, wow, that's so impressive, honestly. So, yeah, quickly summing things up here, the short wheelbase drives really well, love the transmission response, and I'll fully sum things up once we drive the silver one, so let's hop over. Okay, well, setting off in the longer ProMaster, and let's hope that we don't have any doors open this time. Oh, wow. Those mirrors help out a lot, actually. Now, don't get me wrong, the other mirrors are good, but these bigger ones, I like them more. Bigger is better. Bigger is better, that is for sure. You definitely can feel the size difference right off the bat. This definitely, it does feel longer driving it. But with that being said, it also feels a bit smoother too. Yeah, this is a little bit more comfortable with the ride. Transmission's just as smooth. Yeah, the transmission really, in my mind, is the highlight of this whole situation, honestly. But you guys might be wondering, like, overall visibility with these mirrors is actually pretty good. Gotta make sure my backpack doesn't fall down. Yeah, overall visibility with these mirrors is great. Even though I don't have any windows or a rear view mirror, I frankly feel like I can see, you know, as much as I need to see. And you've got blind spot monitoring in the mirrors. I just noticed that. Man, if I was a better car reviewer, I would have gone over those in the walk-around portion. Yeah, this feels just a little bit more comfortable compared to the other one. It's bigger, so it's a little bit more to handle, but it feels, yeah, the ride quality is a little bit better. So let's get into setting things up here. Now, first off, I need to mention I have not had a chance to test out the new Mercedes Sprinter. Mercedes is redoing their Sprinter also for the, I believe it's for the 23 model year. I'm pretty sure it's the 23 model year. So once I have a chance to review that, I will. The Mercedes dealership that I film with here in Utah, they get quite a few Sprinters, so I'm sure that I'll be able to figure out something once that comes in. But as it stands, I really like this. I know some people might be asking, hey, this compared to Ford Transit and then I guess the current Sprinter, you know, the 2022. I like this more than the 22 Sprinter, even though this doesn't have four-wheel drive. Smoother, especially with the transmission, and the acceleration's right where it needs to be. I know the Sprinter has a diesel, but the diesel is honestly pretty weak. And this V6 it's pretty solid with the acceleration. This feels quick for, like, for a cargo van. Honestly, this feels quick. Now with Ford Transit, well, that's where things get a little bit complicated. So the Ford Transit offers all-wheel drive, and you've got the EcoBoost powertrain. And so I really, really do like the all-wheel drive with the Transit, and I do like that EcoBoost powertrain, but it also comes at a much higher price point. This is under $50,000. If you want a Ford Transit with the 3.5 EcoBoost and all-wheel drive, I think you're looking at like $60-ish thousand. I think is the last time that I reviewed a Ford Transit, was somewhere in that price range. So yeah, you do get more stuff, but you are paying more for it. So you just have to decide if that's worth it for you. Do you really need the all-wheel drive? And do you really need the extra power for what you're using your cargo van for it? I think that'll ultimately come up to a personal decision. So overall, huge improvement for the ProMaster. You know, it looks better. The interior is pretty cool with I like these new seats. They're comfortable. Transmission is so much better. Holy crap. Like, if anything else, I would trade an old ProMaster for a new one just for the transmission. Like, it is that good. Let me know what you guys think. That'll sum things up with our video on these ProMasters. And with that being said, let me know which one you would pick, whether it's the long wheelbase or the short wheelbase. And with that being said, again, a huge shout out and thank you to the Larry Miller Dodge Ram Jeep Chrysler here in Sandy, Utah for giving me some time with both the ProMasters. Check out them in the description down below. I'll see ya.